Feel the power.
Oh, I can feel it.
Our moment of triumph approaches.
But anyway,
All right.
how are you doing, Marissa?
I'm taking a break too.
You taking a break too?
Yeah.
Okay. I like your husband's little comment.
Oh, did he?
My wife was awesome on one of the
I
episodes.
guess all his friends have started listening now.
Oh no.
I know. I said the same thing. It was so funny. And he's like, he told me all his friends were listening. I'm like, well, did I sound like an idiot? And he's like, no, they all said you're really cool, babe.
Yeah, you're cool. Everyone else on the show sounds like a fucking idiot.
Like, quote unquote, like,
Yeah.
totally making fun of me. But whatever, at least they're listening. Apparently we're that interesting.
We're trying. Kind of sticking with the concept of sequels versus reboots. And I was saying to Jay earlier, it's wonderful that we're in the comic book era of movies and TV. That's great. And that's all rehashes because it's all stuff we read back in our childhood. These are all stories that we know already, and they move them around a little bit, but it's essentially all the same stuff. The stuff that goes on in the Avengers was stuff that happened back in the 80s or whatever. The stuff that's going on in Batman and Superman and Justice League is all stuff that happened back in the 80s, which I've been having Jay read a few of those, and it's all kind of recurring. The thing that's bugging me, though, is the film stuff, and we touched on it a little bit last time with Jurassic Park and Terminator. It's like, guys, come up with an original fucking idea. Amber and I watched Avatar the other night again. We hadn't watched it for a while. We have that nice new TV upstairs, and we decided to watch Avatar. And it was beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's even derivative in a way, but it's derivative in the way that James Cameron took a little bit of his past movies, a little bit of Western films with Native American stories, like Dances with Wolves, things like that, and combined them all together into what I would say is the closest thing to an original sci-fi movie in the last 10, 15 years. It is derivative. I'm not saying it's completely original. There is no such thing as complete originality anymore. Right. But it'd be really nice if they'd come up with a new Ghostbusters. Not Ghostbusters, just something like it. Something that would come along and really catch everybody's imagination. And the other thing I was grateful for is they've never made an Avatar sequel.
Right.
Thank heavens they've never made an Avatar sequel.
No, because the first one was so good. I agree. That was the only movie I've ever seen in theaters 3 times. I
really?
loved it when I saw it, and because I was just getting into sci-fi and everything when I started watching it. So for me, it was an original idea. And so coming from, and then all the animation on top of it was just absolutely beautiful. And so to me, it was a whole new idea. And so it was really cool. And that's kind of how I kind of started getting into sci-fi and everything, because I'd never really watched those kind of movies, except for, of course, Star Wars growing up with my dad and stuff, because that's what he'd be watching on a Saturday morning or something. To me, that was really cool, and it was almost an original idea. And I see where you're coming from. I feel like a lot of the things are rehashing, especially with the whole DC versus Marvel universe stuff. All the comic book things are rehashed, but it's coming from someone that's never read the comic books. As seeing more of these things, I'm like, well, maybe I should, because I really do like the movies, most of them anyway, that come out and stuff. I'm like, well, I really do like all these movies, so maybe I should start reading the comic books. And so it does pull a whole different market, because I'm coming from an entirely different standpoint on it.
I would definitely recommend a few comic books for reading, mostly DC. I'm not that familiar with Marvel history. Most of my Marvel history is TV and cartoons and all that stuff. I really never read the comic books. I don't know, for some reason, well, basically my love of superhero comics comes from literally the 1989 Batman. It was, you weren't even, when were you born? You were probably
91.
Yeah, so you weren't even, Jesus, you weren't even born yet. The summer of 1989 was insane. In fact, I actually wrote down some stats here in case we were going to talk about it, because Ghostbusters 2, people give Ghostbusters 2 a lot of shit, but it had the biggest opening weekend in history for 1 week, and it was beaten by Batman 1 week later.
Oh, that's
It was
crazy.
annihilated by Batman. The summer of '89 was just insane. Batman was everywhere. I mean, the poster was up in Times Square. The ads were everywhere. It was a geek kid's dream in terms of, I wasn't even into comic books at that point yet. I'd watched the cartoons, and I knew who Batman was. I'd watched the old 1966 TV show. I was aware of him, and it was so cool the way they did it. But what got me into it is I knew who Michael Keaton was, and I knew who Jack Nicholson was. I was already a fan of Beetlejuice by that point. I was already a fan of The Shining and Witches of Eastwick and all those great Nicholson films. And Kim Basinger, I already knew who she was, so I was just really excited by that, and that's when I started picking up the comics and actually reading them. I even remember pretty much where I was at the time in the storylines, because basically Batman had 2 comics at that point. It was Detective Comics and then Batman, and then it branched off into other titles after that. So my history is all DC, and you look at the Chris Nolan Batman movies are very derivative of a writer, Frank Miller, who, if you ever get a chance to read any comic book writer, I'd say Frank Miller, Alan Moore, who I believe wrote The Watchmen, and The Killing Joke. These are ones that I have that you should read.
Okay.
They're not children's comics at all.
An actual like story.
They are
behind it.
novels. They are the first graphic novels.
Oh wow.
Absolutely. And especially the Frank Miller ones for Batman. Christopher Nolan's movies are very heavily influenced by Frank Miller. And they've actually done a couple cartoon movies of Frank Miller's work that have actually turned out really well. Arguably the best Batman film ever made for me is actually an animated film, an animated adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. And the premise of The Dark Knight Returns is Batman is retired, he's in his 50s, and he gets drugged back into it again, basically.
Oh, wow.
It's really amazing. But I saw you write something down. What do you got?
Oh, I was just, when we were talking about original ideas and stuff, pulling it back to Ghostbusters and everything, and when Dan Aykroyd said that when they were first writing the Ghostbusters movie, that it wasn't at all the storyline what they thought it was going to be and what they actually produced for the movie. Like, originally, they were going to have the Ghostbusters go back in time and fight ghosts throughout time and stuff, and going back to that idea and stuff would kind of be like a Doctor Who-ish version of Ghostbusters, but it would still be one of the closest things to almost an original idea that they've been having in sci-fi in a while. So it would be cool if they pulled some of the new Ghostbusters stuff from like the original things that Dan wrote.
Absolutely, I've heard that too. Originally, Aykroyd wrote it for Belushi. It was him and Belushi that were going to do it, and the Ghostbusters actually took place in the future, and they were already part of an established organization. There were Ghostbusters like firemen all over the country.
Oh, wow.
And it was going to be this big epic thing, this ridiculously large thing that was just not possible, especially by 80s standards. They scaled it down quite a bit for the film. However, how are you at video games?
Like, horrible.
Okay.
Absolutely
However,
horrible.
if you ever get a chance, maybe you could just go on YouTube and watch the film cutscenes. You know how they take all the
That's
cutscenes?
my favorite part. My husband's super into video games, and I just love watching it for the movie part.
Go and look up the Ghostbusters video game. It actually it has elements of that original screenplay in it.
Oh, cool.
They travel to other dimensions. It's way more epic and huge. And it actually it's a mini movie in of itself. And it's literally a direct sequel to the first and second film.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's almost like a third movie.
Okay.
So yeah, go to YouTube and watch the cutscenes from that, and it's actually really cool. One of my favorite games. The gameplay was a little odd, but the storyline was really cool. I mean, it's weird with me with video games. Jay's more of a gamer than I am. I'm a video game person if video game I'm playing is connected to something else. Now, that's not to say if it's a video game version of a film, like when they put out, I don't know, Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. They had a Phantom Menace video game. Those games suck because they're pushed out so fast they just blow. But then I'll buy a Batman game, like Batman Arkham Asylum, which turned out to be this gigantic hit because it's just an amazing game. But I would never have bought it if it were some other nutcase asylum and some, like, I don't know, Call of Duty type soldier running around it. And I never would have bought it. I wouldn't have cared. Because I need to have that other thing. It needs to be Batman. It needs to be Transformers.
It needs to have that backstory.
Exactly. I know that video games now especially do have a lot of that history and a lot of that backstory. I've just never gotten into the games just for game's sake. Like Resident Evil might be an exception. I was into Resident Evil and then the movies came out.
Oh, okay.
So I love the movies because I was into the game. That's one of the rare times that's occurred. But yeah, if you watch the cutscenes for that, and it really kind of fills in some of the holes. And I think that's an excellent idea. You're right. This film, if they're going to reboot it, actually, either way, no matter which way they go, if they sequel it or reboot it, they could totally use
They could
stuff.
totally do it. Did you ever see the Buzz Lightyear cartoon?
Oh, absolutely. I loved those.
When you were describing that it was like already an established organization and that they were stationed throughout, like, all throughout time, I was thinking like Buzz Lightyear is all throughout the galaxy.
That's funny because that's actually Green Lantern is like that. It's one of my favorite, actually arguably my absolute favorite comic book character. There's different Green Lanterns, there's a bunch of them.
Right.
So not any one of them, because the main one that everybody knows is actually kind of an asshole, and I really like it. It's a cop organization. It's basically galactic police. They're everywhere. They have precincts all over the universe. So every planet or every sector of planets has their own Green Lantern. So it's basically that same premise, where they're like cops or firemen for the galaxy.
Yeah.
And there's another movie I keep hearing they're going to remake. What'd you think of the Green Lantern film? Did you see the one?
I only saw the newest one with Blake Lively and...
Was it Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I forgot who the girl
That's
was.
the only one that I've...
That's the only one that's out yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think people gave that movie a lot of shit. I liked it.
I thought it was good. I wasn't like obsessed with it, but I thought it was good.
The biggest argument I heard from it is Green Lantern has a decades-long history of all these great storylines. Green Lantern didn't even start out the way he was depicted in the movie. He started out as a completely different person, a different hero back in the Golden Age comics, who they tied in later. And Hal Jordan's actually the second Green Lantern. That's when the whole Galactic Police thing came in. people gave it shit because Ryan Reynolds is a douche. But if you read the comics, Hal Jordan's a douche. He's perfect. He's exactly what Hal Jordan's supposed to be. They got pissed because the storyline was too condensed. It was all this rich history and they condensed it in this little thing. Well, of course they're going to do that. It's a fucking film.
Right.
Third, the special effects for me, and on Blu-ray especially, are just phenomenal. I mean, right up there with stuff like Prometheus and some of the Avatar. I mean, it's not as grand as Avatar, but the effects are just great, even if they're a bit cheesy. But the character's cheesy, so it makes sense. I hear they're going to make another one and completely erase the Ryan Reynolds thing, like it's a bad memory. And I wish they'd stop doing shit like that. It's like what I said about Superman Returns. Did you ever see that?
I didn't.
You've seen the old Supermans, though?
Yes.
The original?
The original one.
Too. I have the Superman the movie, and I have the Richard Donner cut of the second one. Basically, Richard Donner, being the original director of Superman, the movie, had made this huge epic film that he actually divided into 2 different movies. But they were all filmed together. Not back to back, but actually literally together. So he had to move some things around. Well, they made a ton of movie with the first one. It had Marlon Brando, it had Gene Hackman, it had all these Terrence Stamp as General Zod. There's wonderful actors and characters. But then when it came time to release the second film, they cut Brando out. Because they were just
sucks.
It was sucked. So they replaced Brando with the lady who played Superman's mom. Basically, the premise in Superman, if you remember, is recordings. He's talking to an interactive computer of his dad. Yeah. Well, they switch it to his mom in the next movie. And not only that, but they fired Donner and brought in some other guy, I didn't even know who he was, who completely took Donner's footage and sliced it all up and re-shot a bunch of shit and just made some really atrocious decisions. They took the old footage and spliced it back together as best they could and made a Richard Donner cut. And I think that's actually a much more superior film. Brando's back in it. It makes more sense. I just think it's much better. Superman Returns is a really loose sequel to those 2 movies. It pays homage to it. It hits a lot of story. There's some continuity errors, but it's because it's not technically a sequel. But people give it a lot of shit basically because Superman never fights anyone.
Oh.
There's no supervillain. Kevin Spacey is Lex Luthor, basically exactly the same as Gene Hackman character, except scarier, which is awesome because Kevin's scary. Parker Posey's in it, of all things. A few other really odd casting choices. But there's no gigantic supervillain to fight. There's no bashing of buildings. There's no... And all the crap that happened in the movie I hate, the new one. So I think it's actually...
That's kind of the point of Superman, though. Like, he was always just beating up the bad guy, and that's the point of having that, superhuman strength.
Well, that's what he's become. In the 80s, he kind of became that.
Okay.
When he died in the early 90s, that's kind of what happened. They brought in a character that was just able to kill Superman, but it took a battle that laid waste to miles of stuff. And that's where that kind of notion came from. But if you look back at the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s Superman, it's really more about saving everything. It's really, he had supervillains that he fought, but he didn't throw a supervillain through 10 buildings.
Gotcha.
That, like he did in Man of Steel, which is exactly what they did, and which I hated. I think that's really irresponsible. Not just for the fact, like, if these were real, it'd be irresponsible for use of power, but I think it's irresponsible use of the character. Anyway, we've kind of gone off on a tangent with that. I would recommend seeing Batman or Superman Returns. Not Batman Returns necessarily, but Superman Returns. That's a weird movie. But if you get a chance, if you liked Christopher Reeve in the first 2, you'll like that one too.
Okay.
It's very emotional. It's very a love story to both the director Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve being the first Superman. They found a guy who looks eerily like him, Brandon Routh or something like that. I'll have to bring him up. He's in he's in Arrow now. Have you been watching Arrow?
Yeah. I watched like the first season and like half the second.
He's in the second season. He's Felicity's new boss, Ray Palmer. I'll look him up. Oh my goodness. He's just gonna crawl over you then. Oh, careful. Don't knock my freaking microphone down.
I thought you were gonna spill the wine.
Why would I spill the wine?
Yeah, why are you drinking wine?
I am.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say, Jay's.
Sitting at the end of the table.
Okay, this.
I have one of the things.
Yeah, it's behind you. How much have you had to drink?
I don't know. What were we talking about?
Well, I was describing Superman Returns to her here.
Which one was that?
That was the not the newest one, the Man of Steel one that I hate. It was.
See, I like the newest one.
I didn't.
I did.
Not one bit.
I thought it was good.
Well, good.
Well, good.
Not well done, but
No, I thought it was well done. I thought it was definitely better than
There. That's Brandon Routh.
That's the guy that dated Kaylee Coco for like a hot second.
No, he's gay.
Oh.
No.
That's the only thing I know from the newest one is that he dated Kaylee Coco.
That's the newer one. I don't like.
I really enjoyed that one because
Really?
it was kind of original. It kind of had its own thing. It showed a little angst, I think. And that's kind of where...
Emo Superman.
Is he very emotional?
Oh, God, yeah.
A little bit.
I like the word angst.
Okay.
I would go with that. Not emotional, but...
Emo.
I mean, because he was
was
pissed
a
off that
bitch.
he was different. You know, he was mad. And I thought it was really, really good. The girl that played in it, I like her. I don't think they should have like made that instant connection with those two.
Mm-hmm.
Like instant kind of love connection type thing.
I don't know who played the girl.
Was it Emily
Was she
something?
supposed to be Lois Lane?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
Lois Lane.
You look that up. I'm bringing up a picture of him from the film.
Okay, so the newest one was called Superman,
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
No, she was she's like a famous actual person. I can't remember.
That's the newest one, Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Yeah. Henry Cavill, yeah. He's probably
Chelsea, I would say something inappropriate right now.
the yeah. She
Amy Adams was.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, the redhead girl.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I like her.
she was good in it. I just didn't like kind of the
instantly in love.
not instantly in love, but I mean there was like the connection there that even her character was good. It's just a little bit too much. Just a little bit too non-Lois Lane. She also didn't say that my dad was a Air Force pilot, so I could fly a helicopter. But that's a whole different series.
The cartoons have this bad habit of cutting.
Yeah. My dad was in the Air Force, so I could fly a helicopter. What the?
Oh,
fuck?
Yeah, most Air Force guys can't fly a helicopter. But
Or
that's
the Marine Corps.
and you're right, the Corps. Yeah, there are helicopters in the Air Force too. It's just that there aren't that many of them.
But Man of Steel I actually did thoroughly enjoy.
Well, I told you why I didn't like it though. The one thing that broke my
Well,
heart.
I know you just have this one little thing that you just can't overlook.
I'm fine with a reboot, but just pay one homage, just one. That's all. The only one I wanted. And the reason, if they had completely missed the moment in terms of the moment didn't exist in the film,
Right.
I wouldn't have bitched about it. But the moment existed in the film. Do you remember in the first Superman film, Terrence Stamp plays General Zod, the kind of Superman-esque bad guy in all black. And at one scene, he's hovering in front of the window of Perry White's office, the Daily Planet, and he yells something about son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod. It's an iconic line, and Terrence delivers it just amazingly. There was a scene in The Man of Steel where General Zod is fighting Kal-El, Superman, and Superman's they're at a standstill. He's wounded, and Zod lifts into the air, and I expected the line.
Yeah.
And nothing. I'm like, oh, you fuckers. It would have been the one thing that I would have forgiven them for the whole film.
But it was probably a copyright thing. And
No, because it's Superman. DC Comics.
Franchise.
Yeah, it's a franchise. They could totally do that.
whatever. The point is I enjoyed that movie for what it was. I was like, this is a good reboot because you're doing kind of a different character because he starts out with angst.
All right, we're recording again. I don't know why it stopped. There might be some kind of time limit on it that I'm not aware of. Anyway, my
Did you
apologies.
figure out where we left off at?
No. Because it was still rolling when everybody got up. I'm not sure. It might probably cut off some point when we were talking.
Oh, funny. So none of that Superman.
I have no idea. I'll have to find out later.
We
But
should get a bell for when we change segments.
that's what I'm kind of using the clips for. But anyway, we're back on now, and we might have lost something, but either way, we can't get it back. So, what were we talking about?
I have no idea.
No
We were
idea.
talking about Superman. I don't know if we were segueing to something else.
Well, yeah, well, that's true. I did kind of go off on a tangent about that anyway. I bet there's a limit to the file size of it. That's why every hour I'm probably going to have to stop it and redo it. Now I remember that. Because it'll only record like an hour at a time.
Now we'll need an egg timer and a bell.
Well, I've got a counter here. I'll just have to keep track. But yeah, a bell would probably be a good idea. Time to switch. Oh, that's going to be like on Alice in Wonderland. What do they say when they trade places? When they all move?
Oh, clean cup.
Clean cup, clean cup.
down.
Yeah, that's the one. That's where we're going to have to, something like that.
No, honestly, Disney Trivia is the only game my family's into. Like, Disney Trivia in my family's cutthroat. Like,
Oh
you
my.
were-
Hang on. What
This
was
ought
the
to be
clean
good.
cut thing?
Clean cut.
Clean cup.
From what? What was that?
Alice in
Alice
Wonderland.
in Wonderland.
Okay.
Yeah, the Marge Hare and the Mad Hatter, they're like, it's time to switch chairs.
Clean cup. Yeah. Rather than do the dishes, they just move down
They just move
Right.
around.
to the next one.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's like, are we going to clean the house? No, let's just move.
Sorry, I was looking at a picture.
Well, you said Disney trivia. Now that's a challenge.
That is.
I'm trying to think of something really obscure.
Okay.
Now, are we talking it has to be the cartoons?
Mhm.
Okay, so just the cartoons. So are we talking all of them or just princesses or what are we saying?
All of them except for Toy Story because Toy Story kind of sucks.
Okay, so leave Pixar out of it, basically.
Yeah.
We're talking animated.
We're talking about the original, like, animated Disney movies.
Okay, okay. Have you been? You've been to Disneyland and you've gone on.
Yeah, I lived in San Diego. We went all the time.
Oh, of course. So we really enjoyed the Little Mermaid ride.
The one at California Adventure.
Yes, that was really cool.
Good. No, and then my aunt used to work for Disney.
Mm.
So down in Orlando, and so it was like a cheap family vacation because we'd all go down and stay with my aunt and uncle, and then they would take us to Disney World for free.
Mm.
So yeah, we would go a couple times a year when I was growing up.
I'm gonna start this from 1993
Okay.
forward. Favorite Disney movie.
Favorite Disney movie.
You can have a 1 and 1A.
The one in what?
1 or 1A. 1 and 1A. Like,
Oh.
I really can't decide between
I
these two.
absolutely love the original Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
Really good.
It started.
I've actually never seen that.
It rebooted the whole thing. I mean, it really did.
Yeah, no, my little sister, she's 18.
I don't know, dude. I
Her
think
kinda great.
Aladdin,
Loves Little
Lion
Mermaid.
King.
No, Aladdin was really good.
Yeah.
Lion King made me cry way too much when I was a little kid, so I kind of have bad memories of it. But
Well, what I mean by that is before Little Mermaid, the Disney movie right before it was Oliver and Company, which I actually really like.
it was good.
But it was the same kind of stuff they did in the 70s,
But-
the Fox
but-
and the Hound. And,
But I'm talking the first one of that generation, 1993, was Aladdin. Was the first one. Because I was still...
well, Little Mermaid came out. Let's see when did it come out?
It came out right about
Like 80.
then too.
It was Little Mermaid, then Beauty and the Beast, then Aladdin,
Mm-hmm.
then
Little
Pocahontas?
Mermaid was 1989.
Okay, I think that revitalized the industry.
Little
though.
Mermaid was 1989. Aladdin, if I can spell this right while I'm drunk,
was like 91,
One or
2.
92.
something like that,
92.
That would make Beauty and the Beast probably 90.
Spell Beauty.
Yeah, I know, I do that too.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
See why?
I know. I am
1991.
91. Okay, so that makes sense.
Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, then Aladdin. To
Those
me-
were the big three.
To me, it started with Aladdin.
Okay.
Well, that was the first boy-oriented one. Like the other ones were princesses, so it was kind of
Yeah.
more of a.
Even though there was Princess Jasmine, it was about Aladdin.
It was about Aladdin. He was
Yeah.
the main character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So from that period forward, would Aladdin be your favorite?
I'll give you Beauty and the Beast because I thought that was after. So, or not
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, 1989 on.
Yeah, that's when the new era started. Was 1989.
Okay.
Favorite, obviously mine is Aladdin, and
No, Aladdin
of course
was good.
Emperor's New Groove is 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one's funny.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. We're about to go over a huge waterfall.
Yep,
Sharp rocks at the bottom?
most likely.
Bring it on.
We never got into that one as much, obviously, because it wasn't a princess movie full of girls.
Right.
But no, I loved that one. And then when they did the Princess and the Frog. I thought
Yeah, that was absolutely
really
outstanding.
Wait! I know this story. The Fragi Bruto.
The Frog Prince?
Yes, yes. My mother had these servants. Read this to me every night. Yes, yes, yes. So this is exactly the answer. You must kiss me.
Excuse me?
You will enjoy. I guarantee. All women enjoy the kiss of Prince Naveen. Come, we pack her. That's new.
Look, I'm sorry. I'd really like to help you, but I just do not kiss frogs.
And I loved how they did the original animation again. It wasn't that, Pixar kind of thing.
It was also the first cartoon that I purchased on Blu-ray, and I remember for the longest time thinking, why would I ever buy a cartoon on Blu-ray? How could it possibly be better? It's better.
Really?
When I bought it, I was like, son of a bitch. It was
And the
beautiful.
music is
That's another one I've
great.
never seen. Is Princess and
You'd like it. It's funny as
It's
shit.
good.
It is really funny. Okay, I guess same question for me then. For me, I have favorite aspects of a whole bunch of different ones, but if I were to boil it down to a 1 and 1A, it would be Mulan and Emperor's New
I forgot
Groove.
about Mulan.
Mulan's
Yeah.
good. I love
Mulan is
Mishu.
good.
The most quotable.
Boy, that was close.
No, that was vile. You owe me big.
I never want to see a naked man again.
Hey, don't look at me. I ain't biting no more butts.
Oh
You know
my
what?
god.
You know
I
what?
like Mushu
No,
better
no,
than Donkey.
no, no.
I really do.
I would put Mulan as third because Aladdin and Emperor's New Groove is definitely still on 1A. I love Mulan, but
Yeah.
go ahead you.
You like Mushu better than the donkey?
Yes.
Shrek?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
But Shrek's
He has
not
better
Disney.
lines.
Shrek's not Disney, that's true.
True, but it's still animated.
Yeah.
But Shrek has all the best lines. Donkey doesn't have very good lines. Donkey's an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, he's an ass.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
I mean, that's funny stuff.
It is good.
But you can't beat the...
Yes, I just woke up. I'm the great stone dragon. Good morning. I will go forth and fetch Mulan. Did I mention that I was the great stone dragon?
You just can't beat that shit.
No.
If I was my real size, your cow here would die of fright. Down, Bessie.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that was a genius, a certifiable
Did
madman.
somebody write that, or is that just?
It might have
Eddie
just been
Murphy,
Eddie.
You know, I mean,
It sounds like something he would say in any one of his characters.
Well, actually, a good example of that is Robin Williams. You look at Fern Gully; it's funny, but not nearly as funny as the genie.
No.
Because the genie was Robin just vamping, just riffing. And I wish, and I've heard animators at Disney hint at stuff like this, but I wish that I could find a recording of all the shit they didn't use from Aladdin with Robin.
Oh,
Can you imagine how amazing that would be? I mean, I'm sure it was foul as shit.
Which is probably why they keep it under lock and key.
Oh my god, yeah, they don't want to associate that with...
No.
They don't want the word Aladdin showing up with sucker titties. You know that would come up. Like, you can have all this.
I'm so imagining that. Him and the tiger, him calling the pussycat. Like,
That's a mean pussy you got there, princess.
Probably something almost exactly like that.
Probably. Oh my goodness, yeah, I miss him so much.
Ooh, they're actually making a new Beauty and the Beast.
A Disney
live action adaptation of Disney's version of classic Beauty and the Beast.
They're making a new Cinderella.
With Emily Watson from Emma Watson from
Emma Watson
from
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Thank you.
Now, she's gonna
be Belle.
She's great. She would be my first pick.
And Ryan Gosling is gonna be the Beast.
Oh no. Ryan Gosling.
You know, I was one of those girls that was totally obsessed with The Notebook. I will admit that.
Never. Most girls are.
Most girls are, and I loved that movie. Total cliche, I know. But the second I saw him in Drive smash that guy's head in with his foot, I was like, I'm totally over you.
Actually, I'm driven nuts by the whole "hey girl" crap on Pinterest. Have you seen all that?
Oh yeah.
It's all pictures of Gosling.
Kind of funny.
Oh, Amber loves those.
Oh my god, they have a whole book. And they sell it in like Fuego and stuff like that. A whole book of just Ryan Gosling saying like nice things. And
hey girl, I saw your Michael's receipt.
Yeah.
You go, do whatever you want, that kind of thing. It's just stupid shit.
It's just like so obnoxious, like, and so stereotypical. It's supposed to be funny.
Well, now back to the subject of films and nothing original anymore. I guess the new Disney live actions would fall into that too. I'll be the first to admit Maleficent was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
It was really good. And Maleficent, like I said, I like aspects of certain things, and of all the villains, Maleficent is my favorite. Because there's humor in here, but she's not a comic character. You look at Gaston. Oh, I was happy when that fucker got killed.
Right.
You look at James Wood.
Gaston was
in Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He gets thrown off a roof. I'm like, wow, they killed his ass. You look at Ursula, or you look at even Hades from Hercules. They're funny. They're comic characters, and Hades was really good.
Yeah, Hades was good.
Hades was good.
Hercules.
Yeah, like
James Wood did.
I love when he gets mad and he's
I think it's because James Wood can pull that off. I don't know if any other actor could have pulled.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But when he gets mad at Pain and Panic, who are perfectly played by Bobcat and who's the guy who was Max Headroom? I forget his name. Perfectly played by those two, but when he gets mad and screams at them,
rearrange the cosmos, and the one schlemiel who can last it up is waltzing around in the way.
And he burns the forest down with his yell.
You're wearing his merchandise.
Yes. Air Hercs.
Yeah.
Those are so funny.
It's like Herc Cola.
I know.
I liked Maleficent in the cartoon.
Yes.
For the Angelina Jolie rendition of it, I didn't really like her backstory. How she used to be this fairy.
It's harsh.
This other Wonderland gets her wings cut off. Like, it wasn't.
Which is a total rape analogy.
Yeah, it totally wasn't that character in the actual cartoon.
Well, it goes back to the original, and I don't know if it's one of those, but the original Grimm stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they made a lot of the Grimm stories into kid-friendly type stories, and that's kind of what they did with Disney bought a lot of that. There's a few of those I can't think of. Like Snow White is another one. But that's another movie, Snow White and the Huntsman.
Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella. But Snow White and the Huntsman was another one. Like, I didn't think I'd really like it. And I'm like, the guy who played the Axeman, the guy with the two axes.
The Huntsman.
Yeah, the Huntsman, I guess. I call him Axeman. I was like,
yeah, the Axeman.
Well, I just remember he had like, instead of swords, he had like two axes. I was like, that's kind of ingenious that he had axes versus swords, because that's not really your typical type weapon. But I thought that was well done. Now, the movie was good, not great, but still, same with what were we just talking about? God, my memory is just
not
awesome.
Good but great.
Maleficent.
Yeah.
Both of them were just really well done, going back maybe to like the original story, or at least giving a backstory of the bad guys. It's like I took my niece and my mom about 15 years ago to see the play Wicked, where it's not about Dorothy, it's about the Green Witch and how she became a Green Witch.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off at that play.
It was so funny.
I loved it. My niece wore the T-shirt that we got at that play at the play for like the next 10 years.
I have the keychain on my keys forever after I went and saw it.
I loved it.
So
There's actually a second one to it, or like
there's
Wicked 2.
Book.
Well, I know there's a book, but there's a second play to it, and I'm like, I don't want to go see that because I don't want to ruin
the first one.
Yeah, it could be good, but it's not just ruin the first one, because that was just funny as hell. It was just great, but it was also a great experience with my niece and my mom too. So I don't want to ruin that. That was just awesome. I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance, like with the next year or two, take your daughter to go see Wicked. It is completely worth it.
Have you seen
You will love it.
Oz the Great and Powerful? Yeah, you have. You watched it with us.
I think so.
Yeah. That actually tells that story too, of the Green Witch, which Mila Kunis is just awesome in that. Which also, I think, even though it was obviously derivative and a prequel of Oz, was probably pretty close to not an original concept, but at least original enough to be acceptable for me. I just think that too much is being rehashed. That's the whole point of the Ghostbusters. Just too much is being redone again and again.
All copyrighted material is used for review and discussion purposes only. No copyright infringement is intended by members of the Rants podcast or Sterling Broadcasting. Thank you.